Hello and welcome back to the channel. In this video I'm going to be sharing with you a requested tutorial on how to cut this stylish Queen Anne neckline for nail corset. So this corset piece is from Right Touch Clothing. So at this point, if you haven't yet subscribed, please hit on the subscribe button, give this video a thumbs up. So let's dive right into today's video. So I'm going to start by marking out my basic measurement, which includes my shoulder to bust, shoulder to under bust, shoulder to waistline, and I marked 5 inches to get my blouse length, but I'll be adding an additional length to it. Next, you want to mark your shoulder divided by 2, come down by 1 inch for your shoulder slope, place your ruler and connect. The next step you want to take is to find your chest line, which is your bust circumference divided by 6 plus 1.5 inches. Mine is 7 inches and I made a mark on that point. On that same chest line, go ahead to mark your shoulder divided by 2 and go ahead to draw out a straight line. Now you'll be dividing here into 2 by folding your tape, and after folding that, you're going to mark the midpoint. Come out by ½ inch at this point and go ahead to mark your bust circumference divided by 4. After you're done marking that, go ahead to place your curve drill, connecting from the upper part of your pattern to the ½ inch, and from that ½ inch you're going to take it all the way down to the chest line this way. So this is what I have for the armhole curve. So next, I will go ahead to mark my nipple to nipple divided by 2. So my nipple to nipple is 7 inches divided by 2. I have 3.5. I will go ahead to draw out a straight line. So after I was done drawing this out, I noticed that the dot line on this pattern is a bit slanted. So I'll just go ahead and recorrect that. At the lower point, I'll come in by 2 inches at this point, or you can come in by 2.5 inches. Now I'll connect from the under bust immediately after the under bust, and I'll connect this all the way to the upper part of my pattern this way, and I'll blend out the line. So after I'm done blending out the line, I'll mark my dart intake of 1 inch on both sides, and after marking that, I'll also mark that at my waistline, and then I'll go ahead to extend my dart line. So I'll connect it this way and then connect the other side also. So after connecting it at the lower part, I'll just blend it in this way and I'll connect it. So after I'm done connecting, I'll also connect at the other side of my pattern, and now I'll go ahead to place my curve drill, connect from the bust down to the under bust, and I'll also connect at the other side of my pattern also. So this is what I have right now, and I'll go ahead to use my marker to outline this to make it more visible for you to see. So after I'm done outlining at this part, the next step I'm going to take. So now I'll go up by 1.5 inches. You can decide to go up by 2 inches or 2.5. It totally depends on what you want. And I'll mark my nipple to nipple divided by 2 and go ahead to connect. After I'm done connecting, I'll go ahead to mark my dart intake. So instead of marking my actual dart intake, I'll go ahead and mark 0.75. This is to avoid gaping at this part of my pattern. So after I'm done marking, I'll just go ahead to connect. So now I'll start inserting my body measurement. I'm going to mark my bust circumference divided by 4, and after this I'll go ahead to measure this dart intake, but I won't add exactly what I have here. I'll just add ½ inch because I don't want to have an excess by the side or gaping. So I'll just mark ½ inch for this pattern. Here I'll mark my under bust circumference divided by 4, measure my dart intake and add ½ inch for sewing allowance. Here I'll mark my actual waist circumference divided by 4, measure the dart intake, replace, and also add ½ inch for my sewing allowance. I'll also go ahead and snatch the waistline much later. Here I'll mark the hip circumference divided by 4 and add ½ inch to it. So after I'm done marking that, I'll just go ahead and connect my pattern all the way from the upper part down to the under bust, the waist and the hip line, or the blouse length. So I'll just go ahead and I will outline this. After I'm done connecting, I'll go ahead to mark my bust dart. So to get your bust dart is the distance between your shoulder to waist at the front and your shoulder to waist at the back. My shoulder to waist at the front is 17 inches. My shoulder to waist at the back is 15.5 inches. So I'll mark 1.5 inches because if you remove 15.5 from 17, you have 1.5. And I'll go ahead to connect this and I will shade this out. So after I'm done connecting this at this point, I'll go ahead to add a style line to this pattern because I want to snatch the waistline. So I'll be inserting a dart to it also. So I'll just place it and I'll draw out a slanty line this way and I will connect it all the way to the lower part of my pattern. I'll go ahead and extend this all the way down. So from here, I'll add extra 2 inches and I'll create like a Basque effect. That shape we have there, I'll extend it all the way up this way. So this is what I have on this part, and here I'll come up by 2 inches and I'll go ahead to reconnect and draw out the shape we have at the lower part of this pattern. So after I'm done marking this, right, I'll go ahead and I will blend in this dart before continue drawing out this part. You want to make sure it matches what you have at the upper part of your pattern, and I will extend this all the way down. So now to snatch my waist, I want to take out 4 inches from my waist pattern, so to make it 28. So to find a dart to mark on both of this side, I will divide that 4 inches by 4 because my pattern is divided by 4, which will give me 1 inch, and that 1 inch I will share it into both sides, giving me 0.5. So if you're wondering how we are dividing this by 4, when you're dividing your normal pattern, you always divide it by 4 because you have the front side, the left front side of your pattern, the right front side of your pattern, making it 2, and for the back pattern you still have both the left and right. So that is your pattern is folded into 4. So that is how we got this. So after marking it, I extended my dart and this is what we have at this point. So from the upper part of this pattern, I will come down a bit and I will go ahead to reconnect. So I'll also go ahead to reconnect at the other side of my pattern and I will outline this. So this is what I have on my pattern now, and I'll outline the armhole. So from here I'll come in by 3.5 inches. So for the design on the lace, it's actually gotten from the Chantilly design. That is the Chantilly lace that's there. You can go ahead to get yours and create that design, or you can just use your basic sleeve. So I went up by 0.5 and I went ahead to mark out the yoke part to avoid gaping. So at this point you can come down by 1 inch, 0.5 or half inch from the bust point and extend it to the upper part of your pattern this way. Now I'll just go ahead to cut this out because we are done with the front pattern. So while you're also cutting this, you can put another pattern paper underneath because of the bust area. So at this point, if you haven't yet subscribed, please don't forget to hit on the subscribe button, give this video a thumbs up, leave the comments at the comment section. Also remember to blend in your side darts, and you're going to cut out the excess you have on the yoke. So now I placed another pattern paper underneath it and I cut out the under bust exactly. So all I'm going to do now is when I'm cutting this side, I'll go ahead to cut the under part together because that part will be replacing the upper part of the bustier of the dress. That is that bustier part that is on top of the or underneath the funnel corset. So I'll just go ahead and I will cut this out. So my line here is not aligning very well, so I'll just go ahead and just blend it out and cut out. So this is what I have for the front. Now this part will be replacing what we have for the side of the dress. So moving over to the back pattern, I've gone ahead to mark out all the basic measurements just like we did for the front, and my shoulder to waist at the front is 17.5. My shoulder to waist at the back is 15.5, remember, and I've gone ahead to mark out my chest line, my bust, my waist, and I added 5 inches exactly after my waistline for my blouse length, just like we did for the front, and the additional 2 inches for the basque, because the back pattern has like a basque effect at the lacing area. So here I'll mark a basic neckline of 3 inches, and I'll mark 3 by 1 inch 1.5 inches for the back, and I'll go ahead to outline this. So this is what I have for this part. So moving over, we're going to mark our dart, which is your nipple to nipple divided by 2, and I will go ahead to mark this all the way to the lower part of the pattern, place my ruler, and I'm going to draw out a straight line. After I'm done marking this out, you want to go ahead to mark your basic dart of 1/2 inch on both sides, come down by 1 inch from the bust. Now you're going to go ahead to extend this all the way up, and also extend at the other side of your pattern. Go ahead to place your ruler and blend it also to the lower part of the pattern. After you're done cutting this out, you're going to go ahead to outline this part. After I'm done marking that, we'll start inserting my measurement. I'll mark the bust circumference divided by 4, add my sewing allowance, mark my waist circumference divided by 4, measure the dart intake, add my sewing allowance, and mark my hip circumference at the blouse length and add my sewing allowance. So I'll just go ahead and I'll connect this all the way down. So after I'm done connecting, I'll come down by 1/2 inch, and I'll take this up to the chest line of my pattern. This is to avoid the lacing bar area to be popping up. Now you go in by 1 inch after your lacing bar area, come down by 1 inch at your neckline, draw out your yoke, and you're going to mark 0.5 inches at this point. Here you'll be marking 2 inches, and you come in by 1 inch here, and you go ahead to place your ruler, and you're going to connect this all the way to the lower part of your pattern. Draw out these marks to indicate you have a lacing bar over there. So now go up by 2 inches just like we did for that side, but when I was marking, I forgot and marked 2.5. So I'll just go ahead and reduce it, and then go ahead to connect it all the way to the lower part, because we have a pointy effect there. So I feel the lower part is a bit pointy, and I will still go ahead to readjust when I'm marking. Now I'll draw out a straight line to mark my waist snatching. So that we calculated in front, which is 1/2 inch on both sides, I'll go ahead to replace it here, extend it all the way to the lower part, and also extend it to the upper part. Now I'll just go ahead to outline this, and after I'm done outlining, this is what I have. I'll label my pattern, and I'll go ahead to cut this out. So at this point, if you find this tutorial very interesting and educative, please don't forget to hit on the subscribe button, give this video a thumbs up, leave your comments at the comment section. So after cutting this, we'll move over to the sleeve pattern of the dress. So now I've marked out my starting line. I marked 1/2 inch on top. This is my elbow line and my sleeve line. So I'm just marking a basic sleeve for this pattern. So what you're going to do is to find your sleeve cap height, and to find that is your bust circumference divided by 12 plus 0.5 inches. Your sleeve cap height is the part that where your armhole curve will end, that is at the sleeve part. So after I'm done marking this, I'll go ahead to mark my armhole circumference divided by 2. Mine is 16 divided by 2. I have 8. Now I'll connect it from here all the way to the upper part of my pattern this way. So after I'm done connecting, I'll go ahead to divide this into 2, fold my tape, and I will mark. After I'm done marking, I'll share this side into 2 and mark. Now I'll come up by 1/2 inch from that mark. Go ahead to measure this side, divide it into 2 and mark. Come down by 1/2 inch from that point, and I'll go ahead to connect this all the way to this point, down to the 1/2 inch and to the chest line. So I'll just go ahead and connect this all the way out, add 1/2 inch for joining allowance to the sleeve, to the armhole of the dress. Mark my elbow circumference divided by 2 plus 1/2 inch, because it's a net we are using there. Mark my wrist measurement plus 1/2 inch. If you're using ordinary fabric you're going to turn with lining, you can add 1 inch or 1.5 to it, but this is a chantilly lace and I'll just add half inch. Even if you're using a mesh, you are also going to add half inch. So I'll just go ahead and cut this out. So with this, we have come to the end of today's tutorial. If you find this video very interesting and educative, please don't forget to hit on the subscribe button, give this video a thumbs up, and join me in my next video. Thanks.